Well, hey everyone, this is Dr. Shelley Crum, and I'd like to welcome you all back to From the Hip. I am so excited about today's show. You know why? I have a business. And that business thrives or doesn't thrive, based sometimes on social media. And social media to me, and maybe some of you can relate, it's almost like a pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. And, I have Instagram and I have Facebook, and sometimes those pieces are put together just perfectly. But I found one piece that has been surprisingly lucrative for me, and that is LinkedIn. And even though I'm into LinkedIn and I absolutely love it, there are things that I know that I am confused about, that I know that I could be doing better. So we are excited today because we have an independent LinkedIn specialist with us. We have Debbie Weems with us. Now, Debbie, if you're not familiar with her, she is a corporate coach. She is just an overall marketing pro, and we are so excited to have her on the show with us today. So please welcome Debbie Weems. How are you, Debbie?
Hi, Shelley. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me today.
You know what? I've been looking forward to this interview. I really have, because LinkedIn, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's growing. I mean, it's becoming increasingly popular. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They celebrated 18 years as of May 5th this month.
Did
and
they?
18 years they've been around. And what's really intriguing, they are still adding more than 2 new members per second.
Per second.
Around the world.
That is incredible. And that is a good thing to think about, because if we are a business that has a worldwide or a global reach, it is so incredibly important to be on LinkedIn. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're right. And all over the world is right. They're in over 200 countries right now.
That's amazing.
So if any business owner is going to have multiple opportunities to do more business using LinkedIn.
Right. So I must know, because, you honestly, for viewers out there that are watching this, Debbie is really thought very highly in our South Florida area, really thought of highly. So I have to know, how did you get started in LinkedIn? What was it about LinkedIn that really intrigued you?
I didn't know anything about LinkedIn. I was a Facebook fan way back. We're going back about 14 years ago. I lost my job. And I was in nonprofits for 23 years, loved the work, just came upon a happenstance where I was let go. It was the first time in my career. And that was when the recession was going on, back in 2007, 2008. Nobody was hiring in the nonprofit world. They were all cutting back. So I was forced to reinvent myself. And I discovered LinkedIn as a job seeker. And what's happened in the past 14 months, there's been a boon for people that are job seeking on LinkedIn. So what happened was I learned the ins and outs of the site. I had all the time in the world. I wasn't working, but I was striving to get interviews, and I was over 50, competing against people half my age and wanting half the money, frankly, who might have been a little more astute on social media than I was. So I took advantage of the time to try to figure out what I wanted to do next. Meanwhile, learning more and more about LinkedIn, learning more about social media in general, but really keying into LinkedIn. I loved it because of the networking factor. I've been a networker all my life, probably since I was about 5. And what I learned was LinkedIn gives you the ability to create viable business relationships online and bring them right in front of you pre-COVID,
Yes.
with events and networking opportunities and things. But during the past year, we've been bringing them in front of us through Zoom. And interacting. And the whole idea is it's a great branding and marketing tool to meet people online, bring them into your network, develop the relationship, find out how you can help them, and ultimately get business.
That's amazing. That is amazing. And, one of the misconceptions that I have seen out there, and of course, I'm not a LinkedIn expert by any means, but is so many of my colleagues saying, you know what? Well, I really don't have a business, like a technical business per se. I'm not going to go on LinkedIn. A case in point are authors. So for people who are saying that they don't really need a LinkedIn profile because they are not a business, what do you think of that?
I'm going to
You're
use.
chuckling, yeah.
I am, because I'm very close to my 4 siblings, and my sister won't mind a bit. She retired from American Airlines after 35 years, right out of college,
Okay.
retired. She said, well, I don't need to be on LinkedIn, right? And I said, you might want to check out who's on LinkedIn, because you will probably reconnect with a lot of your flight attendant friends.
Yes.
And sure enough, she's on LinkedIn now. She's retired. She doesn't really have a reason to be on LinkedIn,
Sure.
but it's helping her build her own network, which is global from all the flying she did. And it's funny you mentioned authors. We have a lot of clients that are authors. And what's amusing to me, and I'm sure you've heard this, they do a great job writing their books and publishing.
Sure, yes.
Ask them about writing about themselves, and sometimes they're really challenged with that.
Yes.
So we help them out that way. It's really for any professional, and they don't have to be a business owner. I work with, just did a presentation to a private high school. All of the seniors in front of me had LinkedIn profiles, all completed. I was so proud of them. 17 and 18 years old. They know how to get going. It's an essential part for the HR process. But even if you're not job seeking, if you are of any age, if you're a professional, this is your digital footprint in the professional network, and it's the largest professional network on the internet.
I love that. I love that. And I agree with that. Because I have a business page for Plum Talk Productions. I also have an author page. And honestly, my author page is really doing almost better than the production page. It's really wonderful. So let's talk a little bit. I call it misconceptions and mistakes. Okay, so
how much time do we have?
Yeah, right. We could talk forever on this. Let's talk about misconceptions first of all. That was one of them, wasn't it? Is that you have to be a professional to be on there. What are some other misconceptions? Maybe a couple.
Let's see. I think that a lot of people have a fear about putting too much of themselves out there in a digital fashion. I couldn't agree more. You have to be very cautious. One of the first things that we go over with every client is a certain set of the privacy settings on LinkedIn that we consider the top 5. There's over 40.
Yes.
Nobody goes through all of them.
Sure.
Just like the other sites, So we want to be careful with making sure they understand that you can limit certain things about your profile and who sees what. Essentially, though, when you start a LinkedIn profile, anyone in the world can find it if they have your name.
Okay.
So you can't hide your profile once you've started one.
Yes.
But you can definitely do things like stay under the radar. If you are a professional who is kind of looking to do something else, don't want to raise any red flags, we can definitely keep them under the radar. Another misconception, why do I need LinkedIn? I'm just an employee.
Yes.
Well, we build what we call cohesive marketing among staffs. This is our corporate coaching for different companies all over the world. And each person that is on LinkedIn can link to the company page. I still call it that. It's now called LinkedIn Profiles and LinkedIn Pages.
Okay.
They dropped company out of LinkedIn company pages because now they have universities start those pages and nonprofits can start a page. So it's LinkedIn Profiles and LinkedIn Pages, but every person on your staff can create a basic free membership on LinkedIn, link themselves to the page for the company, and then they can really blossom with the marketing that comes usually from a marketing department who has approved everything in advance, and it's a simple matter of sharing posts out to each person's network. It becomes this big spider effect. So even employees that don't have a real executive role in the company, when we do corporate coaching, very often the front desk person is one of the people that we're teaching.
Right.
And then when we get to the marketing aspects of LinkedIn, we're going to show that person a few different things than we would to an executive team or a sales team.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. And you know what? And mistakes. I mean, we even when think we know everything, we don't know everything. That's what I found. And I by no means am an expert at all, but you were so gracious the other day in pointing out one of the things that we were not doing on our pages. And I was so grateful, and we fixed it, and it was really wonderful. So what are some of the common mistakes that you see us making?
I think actually the one that I helped you on.
Yes.
When people develop a LinkedIn page and then they don't link themselves from the profile to the page. Okay. Because for the viewer on your profile, that draws your logo into your experience section, and all a viewer has to do is tap on the logo and boom, they're on your LinkedIn page. And your LinkedIn page is all about your company.
Sure.
You can have a field day with the posts and everything you do from a LinkedIn page. I love teaching people how to set those up because people have challenges with what should I post on LinkedIn?
Right.
Well, when it comes to the LinkedIn pages, you don't have to think twice. It's anything and everything about your business.
Right.
And it really acts like a mini website. I think one other thing, this is, I'm going to say in the past 6 months, people are learning more about different ways they can kind of get an edge on somebody else. You know, you want to be found on LinkedIn. Everyone has competition.
Right.
So people have introduced a way to bold your text in your About section, which used to be called the LinkedIn Summary.
Oh, that's interesting.
And prior to now, it's just been the text that LinkedIn throws in there. Whatever you do in your Word document and I tell everybody, use Word so you can avoid typos and follow the character limits on a field. Everything's limited. So when they copy and paste from Word to the LinkedIn template, it used to be, even if you bolded or italicized or put something in red text, LinkedIn would just take it and put it in the way they want it, which is just uniform across the board.
Right.
Now you're going to see certain summaries that have bold, and you'll think, wow, that looks pretty neat. Or even some of them are italicizing that bold font. It looks great. I'm just going to forewarn people. It might change the appearance to something more appealing, but any character that's bolded is not going to be seen by the search engine.
No.
And wow. I think that's
Did all of you out there hear that? Your hard work is not going to be seen. That's interesting. Why not?
Well, now you're getting into algorithms and the tech end.
True. Yeah.
I don't know. I just know that we are very closely connected to SEO experts.
Yes.
Not just here. Europe, Australia, because we have clients in 20 countries now. And we need to stay on top of things like this because it is very attractive because it's different. And it's like, wow, I've never seen this bold text before. This is very cool. How do I do this? You can do it, and it's okay to do it in our book, but be careful of what words you are bolding.
Okay.
Because if they're keywords,
you don't
video production,
you
don't want to turn that text bold because the search engine is going to miss it. And it's the keywords. If they don't have the name Shelley Plum or Plum Talk Productions, then you're going to be found for all of this by your keywords, one of which obviously is video production.
Absolutely,
and if you bold video production anywhere on your profile, search engine doesn't even see that, Shelley.
That's interesting.
Somebody else is going to come up.
So bold or italicized is the same as being invisible to the search engines.
They're perfect. I'm going to steal that.
Okay, you go right ahead. Oh my goodness, that is fascinating. Yeah. So you could be working really hard on that and ruin it just with that one thing.
And people do. And the other thing they do is they start using emoticons.
Emojis.
And little symbols. And
let's talk about that a little bit because I know that at least in the past, and I have to review what I was doing, but Instagram seemed to like emojis for the searching. But tell us about it with LinkedIn. You don't use emojis.
I definitely don't use them in anyone's first or last name field.
Okay.
I really try to avoid them in the headline.
Okay.
The rest of the content, sparingly, if they really want to use them.
Right.
I just tell them, don't go overboard, because it starts to make your text and what you're trying to say for your message is distracting. And it can even lessen the impact by making the member look a little cartoonish.
Oh, okay. All right. And maybe not taken as seriously?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I'm all about professionalism
Of
and
course.
integrity.
Yes.
I have the gray hair. It's like I learned old school networking. I just really want to express a clear, concise message for people that gets their point across and gets them seen where they should be seen.
Yes.
We want our clients on page 1 of searches that are for any of those keywords that they use.
Yeah, absolutely. So how about switching gears a little bit? How about trends in LinkedIn? There's trends through every social media platform. So, and I know one of the hot trends right now is the live video. And we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But what are some of the trends in LinkedIn that we need to know about?
Well, one thing that I think is great, people are starting to take advantage of what's called the LinkedIn banner. That's the area behind your headshot.
Okay.
Anyone that's a business owner that we work with, we right away tell them, create what we call a standing ad.
Okay.
And you can put your logo, your tagline, your call to action. All of that now can go on that banner area. If they're not a business owner, a lot of people still have what we call the default banner, which is kind of a bland blend of 3 colors of gray.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
And it's just there.
That doesn't sound exciting.
It's not.
Okay.
And so what we've been trying to impress upon people is that it's so easy to upload either one of your own photos, or you can find photos on Google for free. You have to be careful of not
copyright.
Yes. Yeah. And it has to be a horizontal layout, but it adds interest to your profile. So we've had a number of even corporate, some of the corporate types we work with, they'd rather have something personal rather than business. Let me put it this way. Employees of a company, they don't have to promote their employer. It's nice if they all have the same banner background. That is something that we try to impress in our corporate coaching. But the person may not want to promote their employer. They're totally at liberty to do that. As far as LinkedIn is concerned, content belongs to the member, and that's that. So what we've been seeing, though, that really makes us smile is more and more people are uploading photos. Nothing. We always say, don't put your family in there.
Right, sure.
No family pictures, just generic scenes. And people are getting very creative.
Oh,
We
I love
live in
that.
a beautiful area, South Florida.
Yes.
You can Google Florida sunrises,
right,
and come up with a whole bunch of free images to use. Much more interesting. And the other thing that's another tip, if they have a hobby, they can just put a picture up there from whatever their hobby might be.
It makes their business and themselves more personable that way.
Yes.
More approachable, I would imagine.
And interesting.
I love that. Absolutely. So let's talk about that live video. Now, LinkedIn, unlike Facebook, for example, does not let just anyone stream live to its platform. Am I right in saying that?
I have been waiting for over almost a year.
Okay.
I don't have it. I don't have the option to do live video.
You know what? I'm going to jump on that. We have been waiting too for quite a long time. It's been, I think, over a year. And same thing. So there's no rhyme or reason to it.
Actually, we're learning.
Okay.
What picks up LinkedIn's interest? Because if you think of it this way, okay, I just picked this up this morning from LinkedIn's headlines. And now let me get the platforms correct here. TikTok, Google owns TikTok, I think. Anyway, these sites, Instagram, YouTube, okay, they're starting to pay people for content.
Sure.
And they're doing short videos, or they call them shorts.
Yes.
And I just read this morning. There's so many thousands of people out there that are building content on like TikTok as one example. YouTube Shorts is now getting into play with paying people that can attract the most viewers to their shorts. So they're paying for other people to create content that's going to get people on their site. So, okay, one of the things we've learned is followers and connections.
Okay.
the more you, and this is a double-edged sword. I don't even want to say it, but I'm going to because it's part of the deal. The fact is, if you want to be awarded the ability to do LinkedIn Live, you should have a good network built. We're talking thousands of people. Okay, I have 12,000, so my network's pretty big.
Yes.
However, I build with a strategy. So I turn down people every day if there's no value in connecting with someone. And that's big for us. That's a core of our teaching, because when you build a network of value, you can leverage the network later. If you start saying yes to every single invitation, doesn't matter who they are, where they are, you're building a big network, but you're not going to be able to use those people later for introductions or anything to do with building your business.
True.
That's our strategy. So I may never get the option to do LinkedIn Live because I have 12,000. Some of the people that I know that have LinkedIn Live, they have over the limit, which is 30,000 first level connections. They have a much bigger audience of connections. The other thing is they absolutely look at content. They look at what you're posting. They look at the value of your posting, and are you getting engagement on those posts?
I understand.
I have some wonderful people that I admire that do what I do. And every time I see their name with a post, I know I'm going to click like on that because I already know they always
that it's
post.
Valuable. Yes.
And I want to help them spread their message. And that only takes a second to click like. And it goes out to my 12,000 people's homepage. Not everybody sees it, but that's one way to help them spread their message. And it keeps me active in front of my network by, hey, Shelley, look at this because it's valuable. You're going to learn something. So, but you know what? The bottom line for me, now you're in the industry, video. I'm not. I'm okay if I never get the option to do LinkedIn Live because there are other people and they're doing a great job with it. I would love to see you get it because it's your business, and I think it could really boost your business in a big way. So I will keep hoping you get the option. It's kind of a lottery, who gets it and when. But I've been watching the other people that have received the ability so far.
And you're seeing that trend with really cool content, but a fair amount of followers too. Okay. All right.
Which makes sense when you think about it.
Yes.
You know, because video in itself is awesome. We can talk about that. But when you are doing live events, you better have a big network because you're interrupting everyone's day.
True. Yes.
And that is the challenge for me, to stop whatever I'm doing and join that broadcast. So I find myself going back and looking at the replays. And I can still comment and say what I have to say, and they'll still see that later. But it's not during the live event. It's not as fun.
Live, interacting live is always fun, isn't it? Yes. Well, I'll tell you what, Debbie, this has been a really engaging interview, and I'm just so honored that you have joined us today. So for viewers out there, and they're watching this interview, and they want to find out more about you, connect with you, even hire you for your services, where would you point them?
Probably the easiest place is our website. It's dwconsultingsolutions.com. I have one of those wonderful names. It's Scottish. I can't help it. It's my heritage. Nobody can say it, pronounce it, remember it, or spell it. So it's Weems. It's Debbie, and then with an I-E and Weems. And I spell it phonetically everywhere, but it's pronounced W-E-E-M-Z. It is spelled like Wemyss. It's W-E-M-Y-S-S.
And I like that. On her LinkedIn profile, I was looking at it. You actually kind of I forget the
phonetically.
Phonetically. There you go. That word. She has it spelled out, and so that's how I knew to do it. But I've heard people talking about you too. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure. I love having the opportunity. I can talk about LinkedIn all day, and this has been a real pleasure.
Oh, well, thank you. And thank you to all you viewers out there. This has been really an engaging show. I mean, such an education on LinkedIn. And I, for one, am excited to go in there and evaluate my LinkedIn profile and figure out where there's room for improvement. I think it's just phenomenal. So this has been another episode of From the Hip. Don't forget to visit us on the Plum Talk Productions Facebook page. If you have an idea for an edgy, sensitive, educational show, please reach out to us at jan@plumtalkproductions.com. Until next time, we'll see you soon.